Hey guys, welcome back to Serial at Midnight. This is an episode I wanted to do just reviews of things that I've seen. You know, stuff comes in so fast here and in such volume that it's hard to stay on top of it. And so you're going to see some videos coming up, my monthly Kino Lorber video, several, we got imprint stuff has arrived, umbrella stuff has arrived, and I've got to get those videos turned around soon. But these are the things that I've actually spent time watching and that I have opinions about. So we're in this episode. This is a review video for some new Blu-rays and 4Ks. We're going to talk about from Warner Archive, The Curse of Frankenstein on 4K. We're going to talk about The Racket with Robert Mitchum, Elizabeth Scott, and Robert Ryan. We're going to talk about The Master of Ballantrae with Errol Flynn. And we're going to talk about the new ClassicFlix release of Aesop's Fables, which is animation that's over 100 years old, which is just wild. And then we're going to wrap it up with coverage of the new Celluloid Dreams release of A Hyena in the Safe, aka that's the Italian title. So that's what we're doing, and I feel like I should kick it off with The Curse of Frankenstein, because this movie's huge. When Warner Archive released this on Blu-ray 3 or 4 years ago, I don't know, time flies. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago, but it seems like it was like 1 year ago. When Warner Archive put this out on Blu-ray, it was already a big deal because we had multiple aspect ratios for it, special features. Now we got the 4K, and they've topped what they had already done with the Blu-ray. So this is a 3-disc version, 2 4Ks, and 1 Blu-ray. And the Blu-ray, I think, is just entirely special features. We have 3 different aspect ratios for this, new special features, archival special features. Now, I have to say this, over in the UK, Hammer controls their own distribution. There's a Hammer releasing company for Blu-rays and DVDs and 4Ks and things like that. And they put out a 6-disc version of The Curse of Frankenstein. So obviously this is a 3-disc version. They also have a 3-disc version too, but this does not have everything that the 6-disc version has, obviously. But it doesn't have the price tag that one had either. You know, this is a much more approachable release in terms of cost. But I just wanted to say, like, if you love this movie, there's a 6-disc version of this. So the way this, I should talk about the movie first, but I mean, I've talked about this movie I've made multiple Hammer videos here. I've talked about this from Warner Archive. I love The Curse of Frankenstein. This is up there with me with the Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, The Horror of Dracula, which it establishes what Hammer horror is really going to be. Hammer is older than their horror movies. They had done film noir, they had done thrillers, they had all kinds of movies. We tend to just think of Hammer as the House of Horror at this point. But they were a film production studio that was doing all kinds, film production company that was making all kinds of movies. The horror movies really kind of changed everything. And Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, this is about as good as it gets. So let me show you how it all breaks down. So disc 1 on this is I'm going to have to look at all the special features in green here. So disc 1 is the 1:6:6 aspect ratio of the UK theatrical version, and also the 1:3:7 open matte version. It's got a 2025 optional audio commentary by Kim Newman, Barry Forshaw, and Stephen Jones. It's got a 2012 archival commentary featuring Marcus Hearn and Jonathan Rigby, and it's got, special features. Special features include Beside the Seaside, Reviving the Curse of Frankenstein, alternate eyeball scene, UK trailer, UK censor card. Okay, so disc 2 contains the US theatrical cut in 1:8:5, and that's the one I watched. I have not watched all 3 different aspect ratios of this movie, but that also has the audio commentary, brand new 2025 audio commentary with Heidi Honeycutt and my friend Toby Rohn, a 2020 archival commentary from Dr. Steve Haberman and Konstantin Nasser. Special features include recreating the creature, a fitting vocation, topped and tailed. Okay. Disc 3 is special features. Disc 3 has Frankenstein Reborn, Life with Sir, The Resurrection Men, Hideous Progeny. Okay. Just little featurettes and all kinds of, hours and hours and hours of stuff on these these discs, and I have not watched, I have not gone through all of it. And I back when the Blu-ray came out, I went pretty hard on checking that disc out. But for me, I just wanted to see this in 4K. Warner Archive 4Ks always look beautiful. Um, and so this is no exception. So I just wanted to shout that out as being, something that it came out in time for Halloween, but I think it did, yeah. But I didn't have time to get that turned around before this video, because I had Lone Pine was in October. A lot going on. Let's talk about the Racket. Robert Mitchum, Elizabeth Scott, Robert Ryan. This is a Howard Hughes production, and it is directed by John Cromwell. I had never seen this before. It's 1951. It is film noir, but it's more of the kind of film noir where it's like, quote, ripped from the headlines, where they do, here's the people protecting your city streets. There was a whole wave of American crime films that were focused on the infrastructure of law enforcement, like the G-men themselves, and that's where Dragnet really comes from later. Well, I was Dragnet around at this. Anyway, the same feeling of that, like, here's an inside look at the process of how we catch criminals. That's the thing. And Robert Ryan is the bad guy, but he's not like a cigar. Well, he actually is a cigar twirling bad guy, but he's not like this really reminds me of The Untouchables, both the Brian De Palma version of that movie, which has the screenplay by David Mamet, or Mamet, if you prefer, which and also the TV series, the Untouchables movie. It was a TV series in the late 1950s, early 19s. What is 59? I think for the Untouchables TV series, the Scarface Mob was the movie. They took the first, I think, 2 episodes of that, or maybe it was. I'm trying to remember the details of all this. The Scarface Mob is the movie that launched the Untouchables, and that had a theatrical run in certain markets, I believe. And it's Elliot Ness versus Capone. Now, this is not Elliot Ness versus Capone, but I feel like the people that wrote that, and I understand that's based on Elliot Ness's real accounts, but I feel like the people that wrote that had seen the Racket. The influence of the Racket over later things really does hang over it. And I made a video about the Scarface Mob with Max Allen Collins. So if you haven't seen that, you can go check that out. And we just talk at length about Elliot Ness and about that movie and about Al Capone and that era of TV and movie production. But this is good. I really liked it. It starts slow. I don't think Mitchum shows up until like 15 minutes in, and then you're finally like, oh, finally Mitchum's here. But it does have some really cool stuff in it, and I like William Conrad is in it. I don't even know if he made the box here. No, William Conrad did not. Screenplay by William Wister Haynes and W.R. Burnett. So if you know W.R. Burnett's one of the guys behind a lot of those early Warner Brothers. Didn't he write Little Caesar? Edward G. Robinson? So the connection between the 30s Warner Brothers gangster movies and this kind of thing is it's kind of a straight line. So it's good. I really enjoyed it. Again, Warner Archive transfers always look great. We've got a commentary by Eddie. It's Eddie Muller, right? Yeah. I'm hearing people pronounce Eddie Muller's name Eddie Mueller. Isn't it Eddie Muller? Anyway, in the original theatrical trailer. So recommend the Racket. I also recommend Master of Ballantrae. This is late Errol Flynn. This is, I think it's 53. Yeah, 1953. This is, so if you know Errol Flynn's work, take one part, he's famous for The Adventures of Robin Hood, and he's also famous for like the Seahawk, the medieval, whatever, the swashbuckler hero, and then the seafaring swashbuckler, all swashbucklers, right? There's a lot of buckles getting swashed, but you take the mix of like the folk hero of the people and mix it with the sea hero, right? The ship hero. And that's what this is. It's right in the middle of those two things, because so it takes place in Scotland. I'd never seen this before either. It takes place in Scotland, and Errol Flynn is a rebel and an outlaw. Really, they're not rebels they're patriots to the Scottish cause. This is about like I guess it's the early 1700s, looking at the struggle between King James of England and the Scottish people wanting autonomy, wanting democracy for them, wanting to be represented for themselves and not a part of being kind of the same thing that Braveheart's dealing with. But it can, if you know the history of Scotland, like that's something they've been fighting for, forever. And so Errol Flynn plays the Scottish guy, but he doesn't talk with a Scottish accent. No one in this movie talks with a Scottish accent. They're all supposed to be Scots, and no one talks with a Scottish accent. But it's a studio movie. What was this? Is trying to remember. This is it's Warner Bros. I was like, is this RKO? No, it's a Warner Brothers picture. But so he's this, he's a freedom fighter at the beginning, a patriot who becomes an outlaw and then has to flee. And there's a whole like 45-minute section of the movie where he ends up on a pirate ship, and it just turns into Pirates of the Caribbean before Pirates of the Caribbean really existed. They go to Tortuga. I'm telling you, like it's just straight up pirate. It's like dun, 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 straight up. Well, it feels like a direct influence on Pirates of the Caribbean. Um, and then he comes back, I won't spoil it for you, but like there's an arc to the movie. And so it's like first part of the movie, sword fights up and down stairs, and then middle part of the movie, pirate adventure. And then last part of the movie, sword fights up and down staircases. So if you like Errol Flynn and you like that kind of a thing, this is kind of an obscurity, but it's beautifully shot. They filmed on location in Scotland and I think some parts in Europe too. It just looks beautiful. And we have we have two classic cartoons. There's a Bugs Bunny cartoon, Bully for Bugs, which is Bugs as the Matador, super famous cartoon. And then Plop Goes the Weasel, which is a Foghorn Leghorn cartoon. And then the theatrical trailer. Really enjoyed discovering this. I should tell you some of the supporting cast too. So it's Errol Flynn, Beatrix Campbell, Yvonne Freneau, Roger Livesey, Anthony Steele, screenplay by Herb Meadow. Additional dialogue by Harold Medford, directed by William Keighley, a Warner Brothers production. It's fun. I'm glad Warner Brothers is cranking out so many of these. We're getting a lot of archive releases now, like at least like we're getting like 8 a month, right? Like at least 5 or 6 a month, and they've been putting out a lot of these like mid-century swashbucklers, and some of them don't stand the test of time. But this one, I think this one does. Let's talk about Aesop's Fables from ClassicFlix. This is the 1920s, Volume 1. And it is about 2 hours of, what have we got, 122 minutes. So about 2 hours of animation that begins in 1921 and ends in 1928. So that's the range. It's hard to believe that we're looking at animation from over 100 years ago. They've cleaned it up really well. It looks really good. They've worked with Black Hawk Films on this, and Cartoon Logic, and the restoration quality is just top notch. And I'm gonna, because I'm not a cartoon historian, and I'm not silent film. These are silent, but it doesn't really matter because they've got piano accompaniment, new piano accompaniment, and they can. So the box is going to tell you probably better than I can. 2,600 years ago, Aesop said, long before Paul Terry found success with Mighty Mouse, he spent the 1920s producing the Aesop's Fables series, starring his original character, Farmer Al Space Falfa, and an endless cast of violent, funny animals. Loosely connected to those ancient tales, then bookended with a sugar-coated pill of wisdom, the cartoons were an all-encompassing umbrella of new dynamics and concepts. In Aesop's Fables, the 1920s Volume 1, Cartoon Logic has meticulously assembled and restored 20 Paul Terry cartoons, giving the animation pioneer his first high-definition silent film collection, and showcasing why Walt Disney once said he hoped to one day make animated shorts as good as Aesop's Fables. Sourced in the best surviving elements, archived at Black Hawk Films, Volume 1 features cartoons ranging from the birth of the series in 1921 to 1928's Dinner Time, the first theatrical cartoon with synchronized sound ever released. Each short comes with optional commentary tracks by animation historians Tad Komorowski and Charlie Judkins, teaming up to tell the full story of Paul Terry and Farmer Al. Charlie also lends his accomplished musical stylings with newly recorded original scores for each short. Bonus cartoons include alternate Commonwealth cut of Dinner Time and 2 Charlie Chaplin shorts by Paul's older brother, John Terry. So here is that's what the back of the box looks like. Here's some screenshots, and I like the way that ClassicFlix gives you the list of cartoons on the inside of the art wrap. So a little of these goes a long way, if I'm being honest. So I watched, they're like 5, 6, 7 minutes each, and 1 or 2 of them is enough for a while. They're so dry. But they're not. Are they dry? they're a little dry. They're of their era, right? And so the interest in these is primarily, I think, historical or academic, but maybe not for you. I just discovered that I was watching these, so it's like after a couple, I'm like that's enough for now. But they're fun. Honestly, a little preachy. They're a little preachy. Some of them lean into political worldviews of the time 100 years ago that is remarkably similar to the political worldviews of today, which further, I've said this a million times on this channel. The more you go back and watch things from 100 years ago in the early years of cinema, you realize we have not changed at all. Like, we have more technology, but we are the same people we've always been. And that probably is true of the 1600s and the 1200s. People are just people. And we gripe about the same things as, like, some of the reason they're kind of preachy is because the Aesop's Fables thing, they're supposed to be teaching like morality or like ethical lessons about, like, well, if you don't work, you don't eat. What, are you going to get a handout? Like, and the way they handle it is they'll have these wacky, like the box says, like these violent little plays that play out, and then there'll be like they call it, quote, the sugar-coated pill of wisdom. And it's like, Aesop said 2,600 years ago, or 2,600 years ago, Aesop said, and there'll be the moral of the thing, and then like credits, and then they come back with like another little tag, and the little tag is usually like, you know, just overtly, they are very opinionated. And so it's just kind of surprising because, Walt Disney didn't, there's no, Walt Disney's stuff was separated from real world issues, but this is leaning into real world issues. So it's just very interesting. Um, and it holds up. Again, the animation looks really good. I'm so glad that we have. You know what this reminds me of? This just popped into my head. If you ever watched Pee-wee's Playhouse, he would always show like a little cartoon, like a little snippet of a cartoon in the middle of an episode. It was usually be like a 30 seconds or a minute or something, and it was stuff like this. And so that's cool. I mean, listen, it's amazing that we have this animation restored and preserved, and that it now lives on for another 100 years, hopefully. That's cool. So but again, for me, it's a little dry. It's a little I just want you to know what you're getting into. You're not going to be like slapping your knee. Probably you watch this thing because you want to learn about how things were done in the past, how animation was achieved in the past, and it's black and white, of course. It's cool though. It's very cool. All right, we're going to end it with a Hyena in the Safe from Celluloid Dreams by my friend Guido and Lucas. My friends Guido and Lucas Hinkle sent this over, and I love what Celluloid Dreams does in terms of like they're everything they've done so far is giallo, and they lean so far into like the high quality version of giallo. So this is not a 4K. This is a this is a Blu-ray, and the slipcover, you see, it's just the alternate. It's the title in two different languages, and so this is a Blu-ray. But I'm going to tell you guys, it looks like a 4K. It looks really good. I suspect this. I don't know if we have. There's restoration notes inside. By the way, the art wrap is it's again. So I'm using the Hyena in the Safe side, but I could easily use the Italian language version of that. And it comes with this. On one side, we have the Celluloid Dreams releases. By the way, Guido has been here on my channel twice. Once with Lucas, his son and his partner in this venture, and once by himself. So there's two videos with Celluloid Dreams here. But for this one, they didn't do the restoration for this one. They've done the other two restorations that we have so far. This releases transfer was provided by Variety Distribution and RTI SRL in Rome. It was scanned in 2021 at Cinelab Services Rome for the film's original camera negative. The mono Italian language audio track was taken from the optical sound negatives. All restoration and color grading was performed at Cinelab Services in Rome. So it does not say the resolution of that, but it looks like it's a 4K resolution, 4K restoration. It's beautiful. And it's got a ton of special features here. Here's the thing. It's a beautiful, what? Close. Okay. I don't love giallo. I watch giallo with curiosity because there's so many of them and they're so weird And this is so weird too, but it's weird in a cool way. So this predates every. When we think of giallo, we generally think of the 1970s. It pretty much took form in the 1970s. Dario Argento, all these people, 70s into the 80s, and all the hallmarks of the giallo, like the helmet, the black gloves, the knife, all that stuff. Like that's not here yet because this is 1968. Um, and it's Italian movies, especially Italian movies like this. It's sort of a heist film. It's a giallo heist film. When we start the movie, these five of them have six. Okay, one safe, six keys, six robbers, each expecting their cut of a diamond heist when they finally meet to divide their spoils after months in hiding. So that's all happened. It's like Reservoir Dogs. Does Quentin Tarantino know this movie? Probably. Did he borrow elements of this movie for Reservoir Dogs? Probably. The heist has already happened. They've been hiding out and they come together. They've each got a key and the safe is buried in the pool. So they raise it up out of the pool and they're all supposed to stick their keys in. All these people. You got you got the Frenchman, you've got the Spaniard, you've got the everybody, the German, the American, the Englishman. So you got all these different characters and they've come together and beautiful women in 1968 clothing. So it's very mod, it's very like fashionable. And so one of the guys has lost his key. Enter the plot of the movie. If there's not much of a plot, but the premise of the movie is they're all there. They need the money. One guy can't find his key. They turn on each other, right? Infighting, and then that's the movie. But it's so weird in the sense of how it plays out, and it's almost like it's got comedy elements to it. It's got things that are it's not intense. It's not really scary. It's more just like almost like watching a music video. And so it had like the music is really jaunty. It's very 1960s, it's very like psychedelic. So that's fun for me because I really like that kind of stuff. Um, but I will be honest with you guys that around halfway through the movie, I started thinking about my grocery list and what I needed to get from the store because it just like it's 92 minutes. It felt like longer than that to me. But it's I'd say this just to be honest because honesty is everything. Transparency is everything. I want you guys to know where I'm coming from. Like I'm really cool this exists. I'm really cool. I'm really glad it's on Blu-ray. It's cool that it looks beautiful. We got tons of special features here, as I'm about to talk to you guys about in a second. But I don't love giallo. I don't love this format. For that matter, I'm drifting from spaghetti westerns and moving more to the American westerns. Italian cinema is less concerned with making sense and more concerned with looking cool while they do whatever they do. An American movie screenplay is going to have like a 3-act structure, and it's going to have all these different beats, and it's going to have intricacies that play off of each other. Hopefully, you hope so. Italian screenplays are like, let's just look at the characters, and it's a style. So there's this scene where this character is just like spinning on a like a spinning plate, right? And it's just like the background is going around. It's a visual thing. It's just a visual thing. So like the style of music videos long before music videos existed. That's why these movies exist. And it's fun. Original Italian language, commentary track for the film by Guido Hinkle, and he gets into this has been a lost movie, essentially. It was never licensed. I think it was never licensed outside of Italy, if I remember, at least Europe. It's never been licensed in America until now. It's never been licensed. It's a good Sean Connery. No one has ever known we were among you until now. It's never been here in America until now. And I've never heard of this movie before it came out on Blu-ray. I was like, what is that? 7 guests for a massacre interview featurette with Cesare Cannavaro, that's the director, Sandro Pizzuccheri, Nina Deli, Misericordia, Adriana Molacci, and Diego Pisati. That's about 51 minutes. And I think what happened there, so I think that's the European making of that Guido has taken and like embellished, I think, because it's got like special thanks to Guido Hinkle at the end. But it might very well be brand new. It has a 2025 copyright date on it. Schrodinger's Diamonds, The Duplicitous Mystery of Hyena in the Safe. That is a new video essay by Andy Marshall Roberts. The Mysteries of, that's like 32 minutes, I think it is. The Mysteries of Villa Toplitz featurette, and that's like an on location thing where they go back to the location where, because they all meet in this castle and we go to the castle. And then theatrical trailer, the image gallery. And if you know Celluloid Dreams, they always release these versions with the lobby cards. We talked about the lobby cards in some of the past interviews with Guido. And he talks about how they're like huge. He shows that you can see them in the back. They're like, like 5 feet tall or something, and they reduce them down. But here, you know what? I better put that over there. You see how so very 60s it is, right? Just through the fashions and the makeup. Oh, that one dropped to the floor. So, see how her hair is like pulled under her chin? It's just weird, but that's kind of cool. I'm not knocking the weird. I love weird. My goodness, thank goodness we have things that are different and interesting. So this is what I've been watching over the last week or so. I just wanted to share that with you in a video because you're going to see more videos where I'm not going to have anything to say about it other than I like this. This came out. It's got this on it. But I wanted to put something out that had some real meat to it and talk about movies because that's the joy of it, is just talking about movies. If you like this format, if you want to see more of this format, let me know. It's going to require slowing down with some of the other stuff, but I think there's really a lot of good to this format. I like being able to talk about the substance of these things and being able to give you opinions, but it's hard to do that when I'm getting 50 movies in a month or more than that. So if this is a direction you want to see more of, let me know. And understand that it's going to come at the cost of the wider picture, probably. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Take care. So, hey, by the way, have you seen any of these things? Have you seen any of these? Obviously, you've probably seen Curse of Frankenstein, right? But have you seen any of these other deeper cuts? Let me know, and we'll continue the conversation in the comments below and just talk about movies. Thank you, guys. Thanks to Guido Hinkle. Thanks to ClassicFlix. Thanks to Warner Archive. Till next time, I will catch you later.